Next up, we're going to turn it over to Colonel-Majora, who's doing some interesting stuff for us.
Yes, this is what we were telling you about earlier, with Z-Talk reflecting back on itself for its birthday. So, we'll turn it over to Colonel.
Hi everyone, this is Colonel-Majora, not with another Legendary Reflections this month, but instead, I've pulled together a bunch of your favorite podcast people for a review of the last 2 years of epic podcasts produced here on ZD. Here around the microphone today, I have 4 guests with me. We have our co-hosts, Din and Rish. We also have Anime Bassoon and Axel the Beast. This month, we've each picked out our favorite segments from the last 2 years, and we're going to look back at them and just what made them so awesome. And after all that, we'll look at one final segment that has been picked by all of us as one last great creation of podcast goodness. But without further ado, let's get started.
Alright, so how's everybody doing here?
Good.
Good.
Doing pretty good.
Good.
Alright. Does anyone want to go first? Anyone want to use theirs?
I'm gonna volunteer myself since everyone else is being quiet.
Very good. Which one did you...
The Red Star Theory by a random person. I don't know which podcast that was in.
That was, episode 2. That was Majora's Mask Month. Here's a quick clip of that one.
My conclusion to this is that the red star is actually the light that comes down on Romani's ranch, because the red star disappears on the first night at the exact time that you're supposed to be helping Romani, and it is never seen again until you rewind time. So I'm guessing that the red star is either them coming toward Termina or them orbiting Termina, just waiting to strike. But I'm pretty sure the red light is them.
So what did you guys think of that?
I was actually this is one of the, well, I guess this was Random's first segment, but this is like one of the first podcasts I really got into, really watched, and, admittedly, I never checked the whole theory that he talked about. I'm sorry, Random, but it was really interesting. It's not something I noticed in the game, and it's very hard not to take him seriously on it. He's definitely he's pretty sharp there.
Yeah, it had a fair amount of humor in it. That definitely made it easy for us to, expect more from him, because he did it really well.
Yeah.
And
I actually think he balanced his humor and his seriousness better in this segment than maybe some of his later ones.
For me personally, I noticed that the red star disappeared, in his segment, but I never, gave it any caring, and as soon as I heard it, I'm like, I should actually pay attention to that.
Yeah, I went and
oh my gosh, what the heck's happening?
I went and did it afterwards. After I was done seeing, I just went, turn on Majora's Mask.
See, now I feel terrible. Anyway, I've always actually really loved the Alien guys, so maybe I'm really biased picking this segment, but it is good for the podcast to have really interesting theories like that, really well thought out ones.
Shall we move on?
Yeah, sure.
Alright, who wants to go next?
I'll go next.
Alright, which one did you pick, Rich?
So, the one I picked is whether or not Majora is actually evil by duck noises.
Oh yeah, that one was from the same podcast, episode 2.
That was.
Here's a clip of that one.
So, something that always struck me as odd is how people intend to interpret Majora as an evil character, and that Majora is, the pinnacle of evil. To be honest, but I never really interpreted Skull Kid nor Majora as manifestations of evil, but really manifestations of chaos. Skull Kid is just your run-of-the-mill, misunderstood, possessed child. Happens every day.
How was that?
I think a big thing about this is it's interesting to see the dichotomy between whether it's evil and whether it's actually not. Because he talks about how Majora is not interested in evil per se. He's actually amoral. He's just interested in the chaos. And that's a good dichotomy to Clocktown, which is all about order and time.
The thing I think about this article, I could refer to it as an article because, in my opinion, it was an article in audio. It was very well written, and I think that Z-Talk needs more segments like this. But the other thing that was awesome about this segment was it created some controversy, because some people sided with him and some people didn't. Some people thought that Majora knew exactly what he was doing, and that he is truly evil.
Yeah, that's probably just because, like, evil and good, that whole argument and philosophy is just, like, that's an opinionated thing. You can't tell somebody what good is. That's basically just common opinion of what good and bad are. So it's definitely going to spark arguments, and that's probably a good thing to have on the podcast, because we want people to discuss these things and make their own opinions.
The big thing that I look at is the fact that, you know what, when you're playing a video game, you have to be facing something that's evil in your mind, whether or not it truly is. And that is something that people automatically jump to when they're playing a video game, is it's evil.
Really, this was just one of the most, like, academic, for lack of a better term, segments.
Very.
Like, it had Shakespearean character references and dictionary definition and all this stuff. And, like, I do research, but I've never done that much on one before.
I agree. This is something I would expect from a university lecture, not from a podcast, which is awesome, though. We want more educated thought.
I think that it was a great step forward in Z-Talks academia.
How about we do another one? Anime, what about you? Which one did you pick?
I chose the Ocarina of Time abridged by Cinnamon in the Ocarina of Time podcast.
That was episode 10, right? Yeah.
Should be.
Yep.
Here's a short clip.
And then you head off to Death Mountain. Again, the tough rock Goron people prove to be absolutely defenseless despite being big, tough rock people, as they are imprisoned in jail cells within the volcano. Can someone explain to me why there are jail cells within a volcano? And why does another half-naked fairy lady live inside of the volcano? Why can't she move in with her half-naked fairy sister on top of the volcano where it's not freaking burning hot?
How was that one?
For
So
me,
much
I
fun.
found it hilarious for the podcast. It just gave the podcast just humor in itself. Like, you can take such a game that everyone has loved for so long and just throw that all out the window and say, this is the quirky side of it. This is what no one pays attention to, because it's in the back of our minds, and we're all thinking it, but we're not going to say it. And then said it right then and there, and, well, we're all laughing our butts off then.
I think she brought a measure of reality to Ocarina of Time, and showing
Which
that...
you know they weren't prepared for at all.
No. And I think that combined with how, like, I think she went really fast, but the pace was good for the humor.
It's like the game logic thing. It's like, especially in the N64 days, they did not try to wrap up those details. So
Right.
it's like an open target. It's like a big freaking target, and it's Cinnamon is really good at picking at it. One of the things she actually did point out that I never ever noticed, but you're not supposed to notice it. But once she points it out, it's like, oh my god, is the fact that you are consistently going inside gods
Yes.
throughout the whole game. I never actually noticed that.
And she also has the ability to laugh at herself. I think this segment also contributed to Z-Talk's direction of humor.
Yeah. Which I think is a good one. I think humor is one thing that can be implemented into about anything, and it's always appealing to almost anyone. I think this is actually Cinnamon. Cinnamon was one of the first segments I listened to, like, aside from Duck Noise's one that you guys were talking about, where it seems really well planned out, really well scripted.
Yes.
And I think that it is a really impressive thing. It really struck me when I listened to it for the first time, and it's something that the podcast in general, it's good, and podcast segments that do that, they're really good.
Well, I thought it was funny. How about, Din, what one did you pick?
I picked the Malomart commercial by Random Person.
That was from episode 3. Here's a much shorter clip.
Don't know what to buy your loved one for Christmas? Or maybe you know what to buy them, but you don't have enough rupees? Well, then come on down to Malomart, located in North Castletown. Yes, Malomart, where everything's cheap. You'll like the prices so much, you won't be able to stop dancing.
And what can you say about that?
I loved it, and I'll tell you, the major reason I loved it was a completely unique segment. It's the first and only commercial we have ever had on Z-Talk, and it goes back to the humor thing. And it's also the only segment we've ever had where someone impersonated a character rather than spoke about Zelda from the third person.
Not to mention the super quick language at the end, just like an actual radio commercial, and you have to slow it down and really think about what he's saying.
Well, for me, I think the individuality of it is just so out there that I thought about making something like that, just to be silly, and I'm like, I don't have the capacity just to do that. It's just so unique that you want to emulate it, but you just can't because it's just so awesome. You don't want to mess with what's already there.
It's because it's random, dude.
It is because it's
Nobody
random.
messes with it.
I also love like I said, the truly embodiment of the character. At the very end of the sped up section, he says, "We don't care," in reference to if you don't like your product. And I think that that's a totally different direction that Z-Talk's ever had, of someone having a negative reaction rather than a positive reaction in their segment.
Truth in advertising.
I just hope he makes another one.
Me too!
Well, I'm all that's left. So I picked Influencing Future Zelda Titles by Agoraphobia. That was in episode 15. Here's a quick clip of it.
Shadow of the Colossus. Specifically, the exploration part. One thing that I think that game did very well was giving you a lot to see, but with no explanation towards it. Now, of course, everybody likes their connecting games and connecting stories and hints to other games and whatnot, which is great. I love that stuff too. But imagine being able to explore like a part of Hyrule that's never been seen before or has history simply by the cosmetic look.
I liked it. It's something that no one's done before.
I have to say, it is good to see how other titles from other games, other systems, other whatever, actually influences the game. And if you think about it, later on, we'll hear clips about how the game has influenced other titles.
I noticed that there was he didn't reference any Nintendo games. Like, he didn't compare Zelda to any other Nintendo games. They're all, like, from different companies, like, totally different genres.
Right, well,
not totally different, but you know what I mean. And, like, that's a good change because most of the time it's like people just compare Zelda to games made by Nintendo.
Right, but I think one of the reasons for that is because Nintendo does pull from other games in their own, like their own company's games to make their other games. A lot of developers will come over from one game and implement ideas they had in mind. And I think again with other Zelda games like Agoraphobia, awesome username by the way, I was talking about is Zelda. Nintendo does kind of need to learn sometimes to take ideas from other series. So he probably didn't mean it. I can tell he didn't mean it because he has such a chill, relaxed voice during this segment. But he inadvertently, I think, made one of a good example of an actual critical of Zelda segment.
Like, that's one of those ideas that can probably be used again. You know, it's like use new material because he could have used other games. He only used, I think, 4. I want to see, like, some stuff from, like, Assassin's Creed and Skyrim and like other things like that. Like, there's so many more games that could have, like, obviously put a spin on it, but like take some stuff from those games, use a bit of it in, and like I want to see more of that.
And that is the way the game industry has developed, is by borrowing innovation from other games in order to make their game a stronger one.
Yeah, and like some of those things have been used in other series before, and it's just like some more of that like RPG style stuff. And, like, you could say, like, some things are solitary to, like, Red Dead Redemption and Shadow of the Colossus and, like, those kinds of things. But, like, some things just are general RPG and adventure game elements that we want to see more of in Zelda.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have to agree.
But, that's all of our choices, so how about we move on to the one we all picked? In the end, we decided on Jin and Rish's segment on Ocarina of Time 3D's Boss Challenge. What did everybody think? Alright, wait, here's a clip.
Bongo Bongo, Phantom Shadow Beast.
What's
there's not much to say. I'm sorry.
His name says it all. He loves bongos. He loves long floats on the beach and setting fires to Kakariko Village.
There you go. You just made a dating profile.
I was going to say, if you look carefully on Lava Life, you'll find his dating profile.
Now what did everybody think?
I think it's really hard. I think it's really, really hard to review myself.
Yeah, and I mean, some of the stuff you forget about the boss, and then you're like, oh yeah, that. What do I say about him, or her, or
You guys should just say it's like awesome.
I think that
I like
parts.
how giddy Din was on her theory.
That's what I was gonna say.
about Morpha.
Yeah, Din was so happy to be able to bring biology into Zelda.
Biology teacher Din.
You know, I was in a really good mood the day we recorded it, and even in me listening to the segment for us to review it, some of the things I noted were that how enthusiastic and excited I was, and I pulled out words like flustered, and...
I gotta give you guys props for actually tackling this topic, because the boss challenge looks epic. I mean, I still haven't gotten to play that game, but it looks really fun. And it's just awesome to see a segment just about bosses, about monsters. I love monsters. Love seeing people talk about them.
Well, and in Ocarina of Time, Nintendo never really does go into the background behind the titles. So we had to kind of drag up our own ideas from the bowels of our minds to come up with something.
Yeah, it's a lot
of your mind came up with Lava Life.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened. I mean,
You guys did a really good job, though. It's almost similar to Cinnamon's segment, really digging at the actual logic of it.
You know,
Bongo needs love too.
There is no explanation. They're just friggin' monsters. Like, Bongo just makes no sense.
He needs love too, okay?
I think that this segment really contributed to Rich and I being able to lead off of each other's humor and comments and statements, and that helped us with future podcasts in our hosting.
I think you had a bit of a trouble going off of Rish's idea of, it's just Ganon's evil magic. Done.
Yeah, because it was the cop-out answer.
Hey, you know what?
I gotta. Can I have a word with you about that?
All right, you go right ahead. Let's hear it.
I mean, there's actually a few things. Like when you guys said that Goma isn't an arachnid, and then consistently talk about spiders, referencing the pinchers being something that makes it not spider-like, even though scorpions, known for their pinchers, are arachnids. There's a lot of arachnids that don't look anything like spiders.
Ladies and gentlemen, Axel's hulking out right now.
Axel mad.
We can't guarantee that Rish is going to get out alive, but
I'll be fine.
Rish, though, there's one thing I want to say to Dan. Insistence that Volvagia and Morpha are both female.
Okay, man! Whoa!
Hold on.
To be male, and Morpha's a freaking amoeba.
Which is
The
an
fact of the matter... No, Axel, stop. The fact of the matter is that the English language has no word for a gender-neutral pronoun. Ergo, you have to pick one or the other. I am trained also... It? You want me to use it for a boss?
Yes, but it.
what is
But you know...
Bongo isn't a chick.
Okay, no.
Because he's too weird. I don't know.
No. Bongo has to be a guy. He's built.
You can't have Lava Life.
To be honest, I don't even know what you're talking about when you keep saying Dark Rome. Like, it doesn't make...
You know what? I had to come up with an idea, and the idea that an evil sorcerer of kinds draws magical power from another realm is prevalent in human history. So I just came up with an idea. Okay, Dark Realm, that's good for dark magic. It's not a true realm. I had to come up with something.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is talking about your butt with her.
Yes! There's nothing that suggests this in any way.
I used human history to try to make something for it.
I don't even know what you're talking about anymore.
And how else does that work out when you play...
Okay, I think we should...
Okay. So I know how I'm gonna beat all these guys. I'm gonna use the phalanx maneuver.
What?
Okay, I think we should funnel back down to the segment.
So in the end, it was a good fun segment which allowed me and Din to learn how to work together a little better as hosts. Can I finish with that? Is that okay? Axel, that makes you happy? Is that good enough?
I think he smashed his computer.
I was gonna say I can't even hear him anymore.
Hello?
Well, on the deadly note of Axel the Beast, that's all for today. This was very professional.
I think that's about as far from professional as we can get.
Anyway, thanks a lot for listening, guys, and everybody say bye.
Bye, guys. Me and Din will talk to you soon.
Bye!
Well, that's all we got for now. I'm sure that this next year is going to be super epic, just like the last two have been. Make sure to send in your own segments, as Din and Rich say, Z Talk's always looking for more. So grab a mic and let us hear your opinion on, well, anything you want. And if you want, leave a comment down below this post about your favorite segment or segments that you've heard so far, and why they're just so awesome. But that's about it. One last big thanks to Din, Rish, Axel the Beast, and Anime Bassoon for participating in this little review of the last 2 years of Z-Talk, and a big happy birthday to it from all of us. This has been Colonel-Majora, and good day, good night, and good game.
Thanks, Colonel-Majora, for allowing us to kind of, go back and relive some of our happy early times.
And thank you very much for letting us look back and see how we have improved over the course of our 2 years.
As for you, Axel, the game is always on.
Oh gosh.